Hey guys, welcome back to another video of learning Java for beginners. So in this video, we will be learning what are Java variables, what are the different types of variables, how to create them, how to assign values to it, and how to print them with multiple variables. And also, we'll be looking forward what is identifiers, how to print them. And also, moreover, we will be looking forward some real life examples based on this and ending up our video with some quiz set of examples. So let's get started. So basically, what are Java variables? Variables are containers for storing data values. Let me write a comment. So variables are basically used for storing data values. Now let's look forward what are the different types of variables present in Java. So basically, Java has 5 different types of variables, which are string, int, float, character, and boolean. Let's understand it in details. So there are different types of variables. For example, string, which is used for storing the text value, such as we write hello. Now, in the string values are always surrounded by double quotes. Make sure that since the Java is case sensitive, make sure that S here stands for uppercase letter. Now, next, the variable is int, which stores the integer value, especially the whole numbers, which are without decimals, such as 123, or negative integers such as -123. Next, it has float, which stores floating point numbers with decimals such as as you can say 123.45. It also has character, which stores single character such as small a or capital B. Character values are surrounded by single quotes. Since the only difference between string and character is string value are surrounded by double quotes and character value are surrounded by single quotes. It can be small case or uppercase letter as well. Boolean values stores values with two states, either true or false. Next, we will create a variable and we will first look into the syntax how the variable is created. So, the syntax looks like first we will give the type of the variable and then we'll give a variable name. Then the assignment operator and then value. Don't forget to give a semicolon. Next, let's suppose we create a variable called name, for which we will write string name equals to Samiksha, end it with semicolon, and then we'll print out it as system.out.println name. Let's look into the output, debug. I'm successfully getting my name. So now we will create a variable that stores a number. So for this, for storing a number, we use int. For this, we'll first write the type of the variable, the name of the variable, assignment operator, and assign the value as 12. And print variable name. Just debug it. You're successfully getting our integer printed. Now, you can also declare a variable without assigning the value and assign the value later. Now, how can we do that? Let's suppose you're assigning a value here, and in the above, you can just declare it as int my name. That's it. Now, note that if you assign a new value to an existing variable, then it will override the previous value. Let's suppose that if you have assigned my name, my number, okay, let's change it as my number equals to 10, and then you're again overwriting it with my number as 12. My number as 12. Okay, let's run it. As you can see, since the number was overwritten, so gets printed out as 12. Now we will look out how the final variables can change this system output. Okay, so if you don't want others or yourself to override the existing values, use the final keyword because this will declare the variable as a constant, which means it is unchangeable and read only. For which, let's implement a final method. Final int equals to minor equals to assignment operator and assign the value. Now, let's suppose you give your value as 20 here and you want it to be printed. Now it will, okay. First let's run it. Okay, so since we are getting this error because we cannot assign a value to a final variable. Okay, as you can see that it must be blank and not used as a compound assignment, because in later videos I'll be teaching about the local variables, how local variables play a constant role in this Java programming. Let's move on further with other data types. Let's suppose you want to print out all the data types, for which first we will be printing out integer, then print it out as float, character is encoded in single quotes, then boolean, which is either true or false, then the string value, which is always encoded in double quotes. And let's get everything printed out. Num value printed, num1 printed, character printed, flag printed, and string as well printed. Now let's run this. As you can see, we are successfully getting all the output. Now like the println method is oftenly used to display the variables. To combine both text and a variable, we use an operator called plus operator. Now let's work on it. Let's implement it in our code. Like, we'll assign a string name equals to, write your name as Suniksha, and then close it with semicolon. Now, what if we want to print it out as system.out.println with a string variable, and then we add a plus operator and then the name. So we will get our output as hello Suniksha without any space. What if we give here space? So now we are getting space. Okay. You can also use the plus character to add a variable to another variable. Like suppose we have string name as Suniksha. Let's initialize another string name as teaches Java, end it with semicolon. Okay, name2, name1, make it very clear, and then system.out.println. Okay, let's don't print it out directly. We'll first make a new string named full name equals to first name plus name1 plus name2, and then system.out.println, just print it out the full name. Now let's check what we are getting as our output. Both are getting added, okay, and it is giving output as Suniksha teaches Java. So for numeric values, the plus character works as a mathematical operator. So let me give you an example. Now let's suppose we have a variable called x, which is assigned as integer value int. We will assign it as 5 in it. Next we have variable as y, and we'll assign it as 10. Now if you want to add both of it, in this, since both are integers, so plus symbol will act as mathematical operator. X plus y. As you can see, x stores the value 5 and y stores the value 10, and then we will use a print method to display the value x plus y, and which is 15. Moving on to the next part, how we will declare many variables. So to declare more than one variables to the same type, you can use command separated list, for which you can see like if you have assigned, okay, let's assign another operator called z equals to 50. Let's add it as z. You can also assign the same values to multiple variables in one single line. So like if you want to do, you will get the same output if you do so. If you want to print like x, y, z, this saves the space, and also it saves you from reassigning every time. So x equals y equals z equals 50. System.out.println xyz. Now let's debug it and run it. See, same output. Now let's move on to a new topic called identifiers. So let's remove it first and we'll get the topic name as identifiers. So basically, all Java variables must be identified with unique names. These unique names are called identifiers. So identifiers can be short names like X or Y, or more descriptive names like suppose you want to print the age, or suppose you want to calculate the sum or the total value. To use a descriptive name in order to create understandable and maintainable code. For example, like let me tell you some examples. Like if you are printing int minute per hour, then you are getting a clear understandable thing that you are assigning minute per hour as 60. And what if you just write int m equals to 60? So this is just a variable name. Okay, now let me tell you what are the general rules for naming a variable. So first rule is name can contain only letters, digits, underscores and dollar signs. Name must begin with a letter. Also, names should start with lowercase letter and cannot contain white space. Name can also begin with dollar and underscore. Names are case sensitive. Like there is a difference when you write in small like uppercase letter and lowercase letter. These are considered different variables in Java. Reserved words like Java keywords such as int, boolean cannot be used as names. Now let's quickly look into some real life examples. So we simplify variable names to match their data types like myInt or mynum for int types or myCharacter for character types and so on. So this is done to like avoid confusion. So like in our practical examples, let's create a program that stores different data about a college student. So let's get started. Let me give here a comment as real life example. So first we will write comment as student data. We will store the student data. Now we will first assign it as student name in string variable. Okay, let's mention it clearly as student name equals to, let's suppose Suniksha is the student name. Now we will assign a student ID as well, which will be an int data type. Next, age will be there, which will again be assigned it as int student age equals to 23. Again, the fees will be counted as float data type, for which we'll be writing float as a data type. Here f is a small case letter. Student fee. Every float variable, once you assign it as decimal value, ends with f, small f, and then semicolon. Character student grade equals to single quote. Since character is given, we will mark it as uppercase letter and we will store it in single quotes. Now we will print all these variables. System.out.println student name, student ID, student age, student fee, and student grade. Let's compile it. And as you can see, we are getting all the details printed as student name as Suniksha, ID as 15, age as 23, fee as 75.25 without getting f printed because this compiler is noticing that f is the float data type. And then the grade value as A. Now let's calculate the area of a rectangle. So basically the area of a rectangle is calculated by multiplying the length and width. So let's quickly get on to some real life example, second real life example, which is calculating the area. Let's give out a comment, calculation of area of a rectangle. So first we will initialize length as, suppose we have length as 4 and then we have width as 6. Now let's initialize area because there will store our length and width multiplied values. For calculating the area, once we have initialized area as int in above, so we don't need to initialize once again because it will throw an error. So we'll only write the variable name and ending it with semicolon. Next, we'll print all these variables. Print variables. Length will be printed, width will be printed, and the area of rectangle will be printed. Let's debug it quickly. And as you can see, our length is getting as 4, width is getting as 6, and area is getting as 24. Some questions for you to make your concept more stronger on Java variables and identifiers. Take your time to solve it. So our first question is, to create a variable in Java, you must specify the type first, either true or false. So um, it is true. Moving on to the next question, we have to create a variable name, card name, and assign the value as Volvo to it. So let's create a variable name. Since the Volvo is a string type, so we'll first write string, make sure the S is capital letter, and then we'll assign the variable name, which is card name, and then the value, which since it is a string, so we will encode it as inside the double quotes. Another question. So in this, we have to create a variable name which has max speed and assign the value as 120 to it, for which 120 is an integer value, so we'll assign the value as int in lowercase character. The variable name given is max speed and value is given as 120. Moving on to another set of questions in which it is asked which method is often used to print the variables, which is println method. On to the next question. Now we have to insert the missing parts to combine both text and a variable. Since the string name is given as John and we have to print string name with a variable, for which we'll give an plus operator and then we'll just write the text. Submit it. Moving on to the next question. Now next, we have to display the sum of 5 plus 10 using two variables x and y. So for assigning a variable, we must first have to write the variable type and then the variable name and then the value s, which is given as 5. Let's submit it. Again, next question. Now we have to create a variable called z and assign x plus y to it and display the result, for which again we will create int z and print the value as z. Questions in which let's look on our first question, which is asking which of the following declares multiple variables of the same type. So as I said, for assigning multiple values, first you don't need to assign every time, and in between you don't need to give semicolons, and also you don't need to add additional operators into it. So first will be option like int x equals to 1 comma, we can't separate it with semicolon, comma y equals to 2 and then separate it with comma and then z equals to 3. We will assign all the three variables into a single operator called int. Let's submit it. Moving on to the next question. Fill in the missing part to create three variables of the same type using comma separated list, for which we will be doing int values. We'll separate it with comma. Submit it. On to the next question. Fill in the missing part to assign the same values to multiple variables in the one line. Okay, we need to assign it, for which we use equals operator. Now here is another set of questions in which it is asking which is not a legal variable name. As I said, for the legal variable name, you can't assign it as the same variable type, which is int. This is not a legal variable name. Moving on to next question. All Java variables must be identified with unique names. True. Now create a variable named max speed and assign the values 120 to it, in which, since 120 is an integer value, we will give the variable name which is given to us as max speed and then assign the value as 120.